Hello viewers, consider a situation. Every street has a dustbin in the corner of the street. So if the dustbin is full, then we have to wait for a day. The next day morning, the corporation lorry will come and collect the garbage from the dustbin. So otherwise, we have to call the corporation office. If it is full in the afternoon, we have to call the corporation office and ask them to come and collect the garbage from the dustbin. Instead, the garbage bin itself will call the consumer or corporation office and said that the so and so garbage bin in so and so street is full. Please come and collect the garbage. How this will happen? This is called as IoT. So what we are going to do in the dustbin, we placed a sensor. Whenever the garbage bin touches the sensors or comes into the range of the sensor area, then it automatically sends a signal or sends a message or make a phone call to the nearby corporation office and ask them to send a vehicle to come and collect the garbage. That is the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things video, we split it into two parts. In the first part, we will see what is Internet of Things and how to make a small IoT project using the handheld devices. And in the second part, how the transport network plays a crucial role in the IoT networks. Come, let's start the course. Okay, what is IoT? Internet of Things. What is things? Things means it is actually a sensors, actuators, machines, human beings. Yes, you are hearing it right. Human beings and animals. These are all called as the things. These things are going to be connected to the internet so that they will smell the environment and get the knowledge from the internet, and then based on the knowledge they will react to the environment. So that is called as Internet of Things. So before 2018, Internet was used mainly for communication purposes. People used to access the internet using their handheld devices like laptop, iPad, or mobile phone, all those devices. Using these devices, they used to communicate with the people. But after the 2018, things have been changed. Now the internet is shared by millions of devices, sensors, actuators, machines, animals, and human beings. These machines, sensors, and actuators are connected to the internet so that they dump the data into the internet. This will be manipulated. Some artificial intelligence will be given to that, and then the knowledge will be transferred back to the sensors so that they will act upon the knowledge, act upon the environment. So what basically these devices are doing, they smell the environment and they act upon the environment based on their knowledge gained from the internet. Okay, how this thing starts, IoT. The inventor of the term IoT is Kevin Aston. He's worked for Procter and Gamble company. He didn't invent IoT. He invented the term called Internet of Things. What he has done, he just connected his supply chain inventory from his factory to the internet so that it will be available for all the offices across the globe. So that's what he did. And he defined the IoT like follows. He said the Internet of Things is empowering computers so they can see, hear, and smell the world for themselves. So that's the definition given by Kevin Aston. Don't worry, there is a proper definition available in the end of the course. Okay, how the evaluation of IoT happens. Before that, we will see the evaluation of the industry. Industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Every version has its own revolutions. In Industry 1.0, mechanical assistance was introduced in. So, lot of machines were introduced in Industry 1.0. And in Industry 2.0, the mass production has come into picture. The conveyor belts, all those things, automation, all those things comes into picture. And in Industry 3.0, we introduced the electronics into the industry world, and also the control systems, all embedded systems, all are introduced in Industry 3.0. And now we are in Industry 4.0 and we have introduced IoT. So IoT is called as Industry 4.0 as well. Okay, how the IoT started its career. So initially we used to start with the RFID tags in 1980s. This RFID tags we can often seen in the clothing stores. So whenever you purchase the jeans or a shirt, you find a RFID. That's a plastic sealed metal. So this RFID will be read by the RFID reader, so that whatever information is embedded into the RFID container will be read by the reader, and the information is sent to the computer. Okay, so these are all the RFIDs. Still plays a major role in many of the industries, on factories and warehouses. And then we slowly moved into the WSN, wireless sensor networks. So we have implanted sensors everywhere, and definitely we have to connect all the sensors so that we can get a consolidated information and dumped into the control center. So for that purpose, we have started a communication network called wireless sensor networks. Then comes the Zigbee. Zigbee is used for home automations. So we have a lot of electronic devices in our home, computer, fridge, fan, all those things will be remotely controlled. Even if you come to your house and you want to open the door, main door, then you can show there is a RFID tag is attached to the car, and there is a RFID reader is there in the door. The RFID reader will read the RFID tag in your car, and it automatically opens the door. So this is one example of home automations. This is used by the protocol called Zigbee. And then Bluetooth comes. Bluetooth was invented by Ericsson, and it's all the personal area networks like body area networks, all the wearable devices like smart watches, and ECG devices, blood pressure devices, sugar test devices. All these devices are connected to the body, or in the wearable devices. These devices form a network called body area network, and they used to communicate with each other using the protocol called Bluetooth. And then comes the Wi-Fi. Laws, we planted sensors everywhere, and these sensors used to communicate to the internet using the Wi-Fi signals. And finally, we come to a network which is present everywhere in the globe. So that is called cellular technologies. We started using 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. We still use 2G technologies for IoT environment, and we can use 4G and 5G also. There are several use cases out there. We will see the use cases one by one. Okay, the first use case is the farming solutions. This was proudly done by the Ericsson Corporation for the for a vendor for a vendor in Japan. Actually, in the farming solution, what Ericsson has done is, for example, they have planted several sensors across the agriculture field, so that they will sense the quality of the soil, whether what is the water content, what is the humidity, what is the temperature, what are all the things solids are available in the soil. Based on that, they will irrigate, and they will give the fertilizer to the land. So this is called as ecoxy farming solutions. And there is a connected vineyard is there. This is connected to the all the nearby shops and warehouses. It will give the stock information to the nearby shops or nearby warehouses in this one. And the second use case is the smart city project. It's a famous one. Again, it was introduced by Ericsson and followed by several others. So what they are doing, smart lighting, we very well knows this one. And the sensor is placed in the light. Whenever the light intensity goes down, the light started lighting. And then once the light is enough, or if it is a morning, then light shuts off automatically using the sensors. And smart parking, every small parking area has a sensor. Whenever this sensor detects whether the vehicle is parked or not. If it is not parked, then how many slots are available in a particular parking area. This information is shared in your car's dashboard. And the waste management, we have seen the dustbin story. And then the connected manhole, connected under every manhole, Ericsson placed BTS equipment under the manhole so that whenever you cross the manhole, you will get a coverage from the manhole. This is because to give a better user experience, instead of building a macro towers, these kind of small cells will be introduced in the urban environment so that people get rich data coverage, rich quality, and they get a good customer experience. And the connected bikes, these bikes will be parked everywhere, and we can take the bike and we can drop it somewhere else. All these will be tracked in the GPS environment using your handheld devices like in a mobile app. And smart metering, we have known that all the gas, water, all these things are changed from smart analog to smart metering, digital metering. And the third one is environmental purposes. It's a connected water. What is connected water? I believe this is an Amazon river. There are for a particular stretch of that Amazon river was highly polluted. So the environmentalists, what they are doing is for every 10 meters, they used to collect the samples for every 3 months and send it to the laboratory to check the contamination level. So Ericsson, what they have done is they planted the sensors across the 100 meters or 10 kilometers area so that it automatically sends that water level quality and sends the information to the control center. And the landslide monitoring, whenever it rains heavily, and if they planted the optical sensors in the lands, so whenever it covers by the sand, then it sends an alarming messages to the control center that there is a landslide, possibility of a landslide in the particular area. And then connected factory, we all know that connected factory. So lot of devices, RFID plays a key role in this one. And based on the warehouse stock level, we have either stretched our production level or cut short our production level based on the warehouse stocks. And all the package and material handling will be done by the mobile robots. All the finished parts and conveyor belts are used for collect the finished parts, and the finished parts are carried over by the mobile devices or the mobile robots, and it will be stocked in the nearby warehouses. And this warehouse data will be available to all the other factories across the globe. Okay, and the interesting thing is connected cow. Farming in US is almost some 1,000 to 2,000 cows are there. So it is very tedious to find the health of the individual cows. So what they have done is the best part to know the health of the cow is to check its ear. So what we have done, we planted a sensor on the cow's ear so that we will sense the health of the cow. And also the second one is they analyzing the cow dung. In order to analyze the cow dung, we placed a sensor in the tail part so that we can analyze the health of the cow perfectly. So these are all called as connected cow. These sensors used to communicate with the internet using cellular technologies. I'm sorry. And then finally, this was patented by Cisco, the cockroach bot. Actually, what the nature of cockroaches is, they can able to penetrate in any places. Everywhere, cockroach can able to travel. So that is his advantage. So using this property, and what we have done, we placed a sensor and a camera on top of the cockroach, and then it called as a cockroach robot. Then we unleashed these cockroaches whenever there is an earthquake, or there are a lot of rumbles out there. So these cockroaches uses to penetrate inside the building, and we can control the cockroaches movement using the neurosensors. So it captures the sounds, then based on the sounds coming from which area, so we used to direct the cockroaches to particular area, and the mobile captures who is there in the particular area. So using these things, we started our rescue operations. Okay, these are all some of the use cases of the IoT. And one more interesting IoT use case is smart ambulance. For example, we loaded a patient who is in a critical situation. For example, he is having a heart attack. He has a history of a heart attack, but he used to go to the hospital for every month for a checkup. So his history was available in a nearby hospital. So this ambulance is going to that particular hospital only. So what when the traveling time is 30 minutes, the patient has to travel 30 minutes and reach the hospital, and people will start analyzing. They will check the blood pressure, sugar level, heartbeat rate, all those things. It will take another half an hour, and after 1 hour only the patient will get a proper treatment. Instead of doing all these things, once the patient is loaded into the ambulance, the nurse in the ambulance will started doing the all the preliminary tests in the ambulance itself while traveling. Then this information is relayed from the antenna from the ambulance to the nearby hospital where the patient is going to be admitted. So there he has a history of it, and the doctor will combine. He knows the history from the database, and then he also receives the live data from the ambulance. Then he come to a conclusion what has to be done to the patients when he arrives the hospital. The moment he arrives the hospital, the treatment starts. So this is called as a smart ambulance part. Okay, so we have seen the use cases. Now we moved on to a simplified IoT layer. It is very simple. There is only three layers in IoT. Okay, the bottom layers is sensors and actuators, and the middle level layer is communication network, which used to connect the sensors and the application layer. Application layer is the top layer, and security is embedded in all the three layers, because security plays a crucial role in the IoT architecture. Because lot of things, the sensors are open, planted in an open environment, and they are vulnerable to the attackers. So the computing part is also happening in all the three layers. Small level computing is happening in the sensors and actuator levels. Remember, if you do complex computing activities in the sensors, then you will get rid of get your battery get drained very fast. So you are doing simple calculations or combining the data and sending it to the next level. So the computing happening in the sensor level is called as edge computing, and the computing happening in the communication network where data grooming, duplication, compression, suppression, all those things are happening in the communication network, that is called fog computing. And yes, of course, finally the cloud computing is happening in the application layer level. Okay, now we will see the IoT architecture. The IoT architecture started with the device. This is a device. Device might be a sensor, actuator, human being, animal, or a machine. So from the device, we used to collect the data. That is called as the resources. So we have a controller which used to control the devices. Whenever it wants the data, it initiates the data pulling mechanism. And whenever there is any control signal is coming to the controller, for example, I want to switch on the motor, then it sends a control signal to the resources, so sorry, to the devices, and it will open the motorcycle, so motor pump. Okay, then this controller services is connected to the centralized gateway was accessed by the front end applications, and this controller service is also connected to the web services. This is called as restful services. Through this restful services, we used to dump the data and collect the data from the database. Through this web services only, the data goes into the database and goes out of the database. And then we introduce the analytical component. So it is not, we are not going to play with the raw data. So we used to get the raw data. From that raw data, we come to a conclusion. That conclusion was done by the analytical component. For example, I have collected the humidity of a particular area. So then analytical component, what it will do, the what is the humidity in this particular week, what is the average humidity, the same time last year, what is the average humidity in the particular area. So these kind of analytical informations was done by the analytical component, and it introduces some artificial intelligence also to that one, and it gives to the front end applications all the users the doctors, engineers, patients, all these one used to pull the data, completed data, summarized data, overall summarized data was accessed by the front end applications. So there are two observer nodes. The observer nodes, what is the role of this observer node? One is in the cloud. So from anywhere in the world, you can control this device using the observer nodes. And there is a local observer node also. From here also, you can able to control the devices. This observer node will be in the site itself. So this is the basic architecture. Using this architecture, we are going to build a IoT project, small project. Okay, if I want to build a IoT project, what are all the things I need? I need a device, which is a sensor, a controller. We need a controller, and then we need a database, and we need a front-end applications, and then the observer nodes. So if you have these things, then you can interconnect with each other, and you can form a IoT project. So let's start with the sensors. Okay, these are all the sensors. Every operator used to give the information to the sensor manufacturers, and they customize their sensors and they give it to the operators. Okay, there are some interesting things about sensors. They are all battery powered or self powered. If I insert a AA or AAA battery, then the sensor has to survive for next 10 years. So the power consumption should be very low. That's why I told the complexity of the circuit should be very less, and it should not do any complex operations. Most of the time the sensors will be in the sleeping mode, and whenever it is in the periodic times, it used to send the data. It might be a mobile. The sensor might be moving from one place to another place, or it might be a static one. And low or high reporting frequency, every 10 minutes or every 1 minute, it used to send the information. Simple or rich data, maybe it sends a simple data like temperature, and rich data like ECG data, EEG data. These kind of data also sent by the sensors. And the reporting range, so how far it is from the nearby communication device, either from the controller or from the cellular devices. So that plays a crucial role. So if it is far from the communication devices, then it has to send a lot of power to reach the um, communication devices. Okay. Then finally, object density per cell. Okay, for 1 acre land, how much sensors is required to cover it completely? So these kind of things comes under object density per cell. Okay, IoT network protocols. Yes, of course, all the devices need to communicate with each other. Then we need a protocol. Protocol facilitate the communication between the devices. So what kind of protocols we use for our IoT devices? It's based on the distance. If it's within 10 centimeter, we can use NFC, EMV. We already know about NFC and EMV. And if it is in less than 5 kilometers, then we can use Bluetooth, Zigbee, wireless LAN, and Bluetooth low energy level. These Bluetooth and BLE was introduced by Ericsson. And if it is more than 5 kilometers, then we have WiMAX and six LoRaWAN, and then the cellular technologies are there. So which protocol is suitable for my project? So this is depends upon these conditions. Understand system constraint, power source, duration, sleepness, whether it's going to sleep for a long time and wake up suddenly for every 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 hour and sense the data. And that memory, whether it has a memory. Remember, if you have a memory, then you have to give some power to maintain the data inside the memory. So all these things comes into picture while deciding the particular protocol for your IoT project. Okay, we are done with the protocol, we are done with the sensors. Then we are moving into the controller part. Okay, since we are doing small IoT projects, we need a controller. Control, basically there are a lot of controllers are available in the market, starting from Raspberry, Arduino. Texas Instrument has a lot of boards, controller boards are there. So I have taken Raspberry Pi as a controller device. So you all know that Raspberry Pi device itself act as a computer. Okay, for example, this is a gigabit internet. You can connect a wired Ethernet here. You can connect your mouse and keyboard here. Another two USB devices, or you can connect USB. sticks to this one, or connect a hard drive here. And this is a stereo, 4-pole stereo audio. And this is for camera port. You can so for used for surveillance purpose also. And then 4K videos also captured using these two ports. And power can be given here. That is a 5-volt 3 amp power. And then display port is available here. You can connect to the TV or external monitors or there. And then there is a memory card for micro SD. And then the wireless communication. We have a wired communication and also a Wi-Fi communication also available. And these are all the 40 pins. In from these pins you use to connect your sensors. Okay. Mm. And so this is a Raspberry Pi. And okay, so these are all the devices it can be connected with this one. Okay, this is what we have discussed earlier. Okay, now we are good with the controller. Then now I need a cloud services. There are a lot of cloud services starting from Google, Amazon, Windows, Azure. They are offering cloud services for especially for IoT architectures. So Amazon Web Services is free for 1 year, and from the second year onwards you have to pay for it. And then comes the Microsoft Azure. It's not a free. It's a we have to pay for it. And if you are a starter, and if you want to do small project, then I would recommend go for a ThingSpeak IoT cloud platform. It's absolutely free. You can connect n number of devices in ThingSpeak. Okay, and then we need a front-end applications. So I have dumped all the data in my cloud, and from cloud I used to pull the data and give it to the front-end application in a nice manner. So for that purposes, there is a website called freeboard.io. You can connect to the cloud, and it will, for example, the temperature value I am taking it. It actually gives in a black window uh, in white letters, like our command prompt. Usually, it used to give the data in that way. But if you connect it with the Freeboard, it gives a nice pictorial view. It gives graphs, everything and all. If you want to see the same thing in your mobile device, then there is an application called MQTT Dash. In every MQTT is a protocol. It's available in iOS as well as in the Android devices. So you can see the same thing in your mobile devices as well. Okay, now we are going to do a small project then, using whatever things we have discussed earlier. So okay, let's start with that. These are all the sensors I have planted in my agriculture field. These actually sense the water content in the land. Okay, then we need a controller. This is the controller. So all these sensors connected to the controller. Okay, using certain protocols. These protocols we have discussed earlier based on the distance and some of the parameters we discussed earlier. We choose a particular protocol for that. Okay, done. Then the controller has to transmit the data to the cloud. Okay, then what is the option for us? Yes, we have a cellular technologies. So the controller transmit the data to the cellular tower in the nearby area. Then the cellular tower connects to the web services, and from web services, RESTful services, then it's connected to the Amazon Web Services and database, and then it connected to the cloud. Oh, sorry, here only it connected to Amazon, and then from cloud, we used to build front-end application in the laptops or in our mobile devices. Okay, so this is how we build a small IoT project. Okay, that's all users. Sorry, that's all viewers. We will see in the second part. In the second part, it will be more oriented towards the transport engineer's perspective. So, what are all the networks available? How the data is transmitted over that, and what are all the challenges in for the network engineers? All those things will be discussed in the second part. Okay. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day.